Hello and welcome to Saints Live. I'm Steve Forbes.
I'm Kenzie Benali.
And we're back by popular demand as we Southampton return home to St Mary's after a couple of decent results on the road in the league and in the Cup. Today it's Wolves who make the journey down south in the Premier League with kick-off at 2 p.m. Now joining us to discuss all things pre and post match today, we have the man who's not contractually allowed to take a holiday, Dean Hammond, and we also have Joe Prince Wright. Joe, it does look like your wife has taken all the plants away and just gone with the exposed brick today. Okay, it looks like Joe's frozen. Dean, how you been, mate? You missed us.
Of course I have, guys. Of course I've missed you. The guys filled in brilliant last week with the show. Obviously, it was a fantastic result. But yeah, it's good to see you back. I have missed you, I must admit.
Oh, it's lovely to have you both with us today. Nice to be back, as we've said. Now, listen, big match ahead today. The team news coming away in under 15 minutes' time. What we do know is that Jack Stephens is out for up to 12 weeks after picking up that knee injury at the Etihad last weekend. A real blow after his fantastic start to the season. Stuart Armstrong is still out. The good news, though, Theo Walcott is back in team training. You can see the pictures of the Southampton men arriving at St Mary's Stadium now as well. Dean, as I've just mentioned there will be one enforced change with Jack Stephens' injury. Are you expecting to see any other changes to the starting 11 today?
Probably not, Kenzie, if I'm honest. I think Salisu came into the team when obviously Jack went off, and it was an exceptional performance last week with and without the ball against Manchester City. I think it's 4 unbeaten now. Still looking for the first win of the season, which I think would be great if that could happen today. But I think the team's pretty settled. There's the one thing the manager does now, he has depth in the squad and he has options to make changes. So there's an argument that you could freshen it up. There's an argument that you could bring some players in. Could you bring Pero back in? The balance on the left-hand side, because he's naturally obviously left-footed, but Kyle Walker-Peters was brilliant against Man City. I think if you looked at the games last season against Wolves, Gineppo came in because I think he does an excellent job on the wide areas when you've got Traore playing. You can double up and help the fullback out, so potentially he could come in. And Brower's looked sharp. He's made an impact whenever he's come into the games. Shea Adams is still looking for a little bit of form at the moment, still looking for technically his first goal, but I'd still give the one against Man United to him. So there's options for the manager, which is great for him. But I think the performance last week was so good, I think he'll go the same again and just keep that continuity within the team selection.
Yeah, Joe, have we got you now? Have you managed to connect to the Wi-Fi in whichever alleyway you're in?
Yeah, I'm near the Emirates Stadium, so it's getting a bit lively already around here. So yeah, I'm working at Arsenal Tottenham, but I'd obviously rather be at St Mary's with you guys. But thanks for joining me and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Joe, how are we expecting Saints to line up today?
You know what? I think pretty much the same as Man City. I think every Saints fan I spoke to has been pleasantly surprised early in the season with how well the team's been playing. The results have obviously haven't had any wins yet, but the 4 draws have been really, really good. And I just think you can see the improvement in the team defensively. There was a lot of talk early in the season when I spoke to you guys. And I remember the Everton game right at the start, and it was the main aim's got to be to cut out the silly defensive errors. And Ralph's been on at that each and every week. 2 clean sheets in a row now. So obviously that's working. Just like to see maybe a little bit of more attacking intent, but I think it's been difficult. The teams we played against recently, West Ham and Manchester City, really dangerous in different ways in attack. So yeah, I think very similar to the Man City game, because even though sometimes you might set up defensively against them, I thought Saints were really good going forward and showed a lot of good attacking intent, pressing high, getting a lot of players forward, especially from the wing-back positions and full-back positions. So yeah, I would go with a very similar lineup to Man City, Jack Stephens' side.
Well, we are going to discuss that hugely entertaining match at the Etihad in just a few moments' time in more depth. But before we do, let's remind ourselves of the highlights.
They face the biggest challenge of all in football. Ward-Prowse's right foot will bend it into the danger area. It goes past everyone, and Ederson has to save it. Now Walker from the right, crosses to the back post. It was the perfect cross. Gundogan got underneath it. 20 yards out, Fernandinho dinks one to the back stick. Jesus heads it wide. couldn't get over it. Goal kick Southampton and away. Good tackle by Romeo. Falls for Adams. Adams into the box on the right. Low shot across the 6-yard area. Safe for Ederson, but that's good play from Southampton. Now, caught in possession again, he's Carl Walker by Redmond. Armstrong 20 yards out, goes inside Diaz. Armstrong is he's fouled, surely!
Penalty.
He doesn't get the ball. The referee, what's he giving? He's walking across to have a look on his monitor, John Moss. Why are the City fans cheering? Have you seen him make the square? Joe, have you seen him turn it round?
I can't believe John Moss.
Walker's got it. Pulls it back to De Bruyne, first time
offside.
cross. Is it offside? It's a save by McCarthy. The ball goes in the net and the flag goes off. The flag goes up, it is offside.
It's a clear offside on the back post.
Joe Tesson called it early, the linesman's gone. Now it is offside. After all that, everybody breathe out in Southampton, breathe out in Hampshire. And Redmond clears up for Brozier, and Brozier can chase this, and now the referee blows his whistle. Of course he does. Great point here at the Etihad, a point they deserve.
So highlights of that draw against Manchester City there. Dean, I've been informed that last week you said it was a stone wall penalty on Adam Armstrong. You've now had a week to think about it. Do you still feel the same?
Well, I've looked at it again, Steve. I've looked at it for a week. I've spoke to a few people. I've listened to people's opinions on it. But mine's not changed. It really, really hasn't. Just because I think there has to be, in terms of the referee, there has to be some appreciation and understanding of the game here. Carl Walker makes the initial mistake. So already he's trying to make up for his mistake. I don't think he's in control of himself. I mean, it's a brilliant disguise from Adam Armstrong. It really is. He's going to shoot. And the one thing why I've not changed my mind, Steve, is because Carl Walker at no point touches the ball. He doesn't touch the ball at any point. He tries to outmuscle Armstrong, kind of gets that wrong. His arm comes across. He's just way over aggressive because he's trying to make up for a mistake. And if you see from this angle, again, he doesn't touch the ball. He prevents from Armstrong from striking with his left foot. So I really can't see why it's not a penalty, in my opinion. Obviously, VAR have seen something. The referee's gone to the screen. But even that, he's got a really clear view from a really good angle and still comes up with a decision that it's not a penalty. I think you could argue that it's not a red card. I think that would be the right decision. But in my opinion, I really can't see why it's not a red card, because Adam Armstrong is going to get a clear shot of goal. Yes, it's a difficult angle, but Carl Walker doesn't touch the ball. So I just don't see how it's not a foul. And you go back to the old case, anywhere else on the football pitch, it's definitely a free kick.
Well, it certainly divided opinion, this one, didn't it? Joe, what's your view on that penalty incident?
I'm not sure I can really repeat what I initially thought when I saw it live, but I did think it was a penalty kick. And seeing the replays, probably 60-40 in Southampton's favour, I have to say. Like, sometimes you see it from different angles and you're like, okay, maybe I can understand why, but I'm with Dean. I think it's pretty much it's close to a stone wall. It really is for me. And I just don't think it was a clear and obvious error on the foul. That's how they determine overturning these decisions and go into the VAR monitor. It definitely wasn't a red card because he made a genuine attempt to get the ball. I think Walker, even if he didn't get anywhere near the ball, his leg came across to try and get it. But yeah, my parents are lifelong Saints fans, season ticket holders. They were in the away end at the Etihad, and I just texted my dad and said, you probably don't want to see a replay of that incident. I don't know how it looked in the stadium, but I think even Man City fans I spoke to since in the stadium thought it was a penalty kick. So, yeah, I think City got away with one there, and Saints definitely deserved that penalty kick for the attacking endeavour. And I thought Armstrong in particular was very good last weekend.
Dean, how impressed were you with the Saints' performance at the Etihad, especially pressing and winning the ball back in high areas?
It was unbelievable, Steve, to be honest. The energy that the players showed in terms of trying to press Man City, and they've really unsettled Man City, didn't allow them to get into any flow, any rhythm. 3 or 4 players like we're seeing on the demonstration here around the ball. And what it is, it's the approach from the Southampton players. They're forcing Man City to play into a certain area, into the Southampton players. It was really, really good. And it was really organised, Steve. You know, it looked like they'd been working on it at the training ground. It wasn't a fluke. It was brilliant play. And there was a number of times, especially in the first half, where Southampton won the ball back and then broke on Man City. And they were very brave because they played a high line. The midfielders were pressing on. You know, anytime Fernandinho got on the ball, either Ward-Prowse or Romeo were around him trying to win the ball back. And it was just, they set a brilliant tone. And Man City, just like I say, couldn't get into any rhythm. And I thought Southampton last week were fantastic, with and without the ball. Yes, there could have been a little bit more quality when they got into positions from winning the ball from the press. But it was exceptional. It really, really was. Not many teams go to Man City and cause Man City that many problems. They were fantastic. They really were.
At the starting lineup then at the Etihad, we certainly weren't necessarily expecting to see Jan Bednarek come in. He obviously replaced Mohamed Salisu for his first Premier League start of the season. What did you make of his performance?
I thought it was very solid. Some great blocks in the first half and in the second half as well. And I think maybe losing his place in the starting lineup could have maybe refocused him a little bit, because I think Bednarek and most of Saints' players from last season, I mean, last season, if you were fit, you were pretty much automatic starters, no matter what your form was. So I think now the squad is a lot stronger. Everybody's raising their levels. And with Lianco and Simeo backing up like Bednarek and Salisu now, there's still a lot of options. But I think losing Jack Stephens is a big blow, obviously. He's playing so well and kept people calm. And I think that's now Bednarek's role, to show his experience alongside Salisu and have that calming influence, because they're both very aggressive defenders. They're both very similar in a lot of ways, Bednarek and Salisu. But I think now it's all about that partnership, dovetailing, knowing when to drop, when to cover, who's going to go and take the first knock. That's very important. So they have to complement each other well. But Jan Bednarek came in and did very well, and I thought showed his experience in those situations.
One player that gained a lot of plaudits last week was Oriol Romeu. Pep Guardiola called him one of the best midfielders in the league, and he even had a stint at centre-back, Dean, as well, when he moved back when Jack Stephens went off injured. How impressed were you by his performance?
Very good, Steve. Very, very good. He's such an intelligent player. He's such an important player. In possession, he was very, very calm. He uses his body well, you know, when he's receiving a ball or whether he's trying to intercept the ball. He's great in possession, as you can see from these clips, but it's just his calmness, you know, he brings to the team, and his understanding. He's got very, very good awareness that when he's receiving a ball, what foot to receive it on, which way he can turn, can he play one or two touch? And then defensively, his awareness, you can see from the positioning there, getting into the front area, the front post, because he's aware that the cross can come in. He was exceptional last week, and he set that tone for the pressing. You can see again from the clips, and his distribution with the ball, you know, his weight of pass was excellent. As a previous midfield player, I can really appreciate that, and he was dominant. And, you know, the plaudits he got for his performance, I think were rightly deserved, because he's a fully committed player. And he leads by example. If you watch the game, I wouldn't imagine he's the most vocalist player in the world on the pitch, but he leads by example when he pulls other players along with him. So very intelligent player, and he's so, so important to the Southampton team that when he's playing well, more often than not, Southampton very, very well too.
Yeah, really solid performance from him, wasn't it? Well, listen, team news is coming your way in under a minute's time now. Lots of you looking forward to the match this afternoon, sending in your thoughts on social media. Stephen Townsend is watching the match later on today. He says not an easy game in front of the lads today. Yeah, Wolves, tough opponents. Peter on YouTube says he thinks Moussa Djenepo, Moy Elianusi, Shea Adams and Adam Armstrong will be our front four today. James Capps has said he's excited for this one, as are we. Great to be back at St Mary's. Glenn's also got in touch. He says, come on boys, let's get 3 points today. He's hoping for our first win of the season. Russ Ward is also with us. He says Salisu has been class when he's played. But of course, we will have to eagerly anticipate that starting 11. Will it be an unchanged team to the team that faced Manchester City last week? Well, you've still got just about enough time to get in touch on social media and let us know. And of course, let us know where you're joining us from around the world as well. We love hearing from all of the supporters far and wide. But there seems to be a good vibe on social media at the moment. Lots of you feeling optimistic after such an impressive performance last week. But the team news is now in. We can bring you that now. So let's take a look at how the Saints line up to take on Wolves. In In goal, Alex McCarthy. In front of him, Tino Livramento occupies the right-back position. Mohamed Salisu comes in for the injured Jack Stevens in the centre of defence. Alongside him is Jan Bednarek, and Carl Walker-Peters completes the back four. In midfield, our captain James Ward-Prowse and Oriol Romeu. Out wide, Moy Elianusi and Nathan Redmond. And leading the line for the Saints today is Shay Adams and Adam Armstrong. The Saints substitutes then are as follows: Fraser Forster, Lianco, Roman Perro, Jan Valery, Ibrahima Diallo, Musa Gineppo, Armando Broa, Nathan Teller and Shane Long. So let's come to you then, Dean. What do you make of that starting 11? Pretty standard. We were expecting an unchanged side, really.
Yeah, I think it's just evidence of how pleased the manager was of last week's performance. I think there's a good balance within the team. There's a good mix within the team. I think Joe touched on it. You know, you could maybe just ask a little bit more of the quality in the final third when they do get them opportunities, and I think they'll get a few more opportunities today against Wolves than they did against Man City. But pleased with that team. I think, like I said, there's a good balance, you know, on and off the ball, defensively and attacking wise. So excited to see them take the confidence from last week into this game and try and win the first game of the season. That would be brilliant, you know, off the back of such a superb performance last week.
Yeah, Joe, there's certainly been a string of really positive performances of late. But as Dean just mentioned there, we are hoping for the first win of the season today. Is this the team to do it?
I think so. I think, you know, it's great to have those partnerships. As you said, Adams and Armstrong up top, I think have been really working well in tandem with the high pressing and those little partnerships. Romeo and Ward-Prowse know each other very well. Livramento has been excellent. And Elianusi and Redmond as well give you good balance, I think, with the different qualities they have. So it's a very well-balanced team. And the important thing, like we said in recent weeks, off the bench, there's players there who can change the games, be it, you know, Broa, Shane Long, Gineppo, Teller, Diallo, if you need to shore things up as well. So all those players are fighting and scrapping to get into the team, and obviously been putting in some good performances when they have got opportunities, be it in the League Cup or the league. So yeah, I really like that lineup, and maybe feel a bit sorry for Perot. I don't think he's done a lot wrong at left back, but Walker-Peters, his one-on-one quality against some of those Wolves attackers, I think it makes sense to have him back there at left back. So yeah, I really like that team.
Joe, just for a second, I just want to touch on the goalkeeping situation. We saw in the League Cup, in the penalty shootout, Forster making some great saves, and also an amazing save at the end of the game with McCarthy in the Man City game after that before the disallowed goal. What do you think of the selection headache that Ralph's got between the sticks?
It's a good one to have. I think they're both pushing each other like in other positions. It's good to have competition. I think Alex McCarthy is generally getting back to the form that we saw at the end of the 2017-18 season when he was pivotal in Saints, obviously staying up towards the end of that campaign. So yeah, to me, you know, he's had back-to-back shutouts. He looks very focused. I read an interview where he talked about the mental focus of being focused the entire game and being absolutely shattered when he made that great save, and just being ready for that one moment when he's needed. I don't think there's ever been any doubts about McCarthy's shot-stopping ability or, you know, his, you know, just commanding his area. But I think sometimes decision-making with the ball at his feet or when to come out, and that maybe has been questioned, but that mental focus and sharpness seems to be there for him this season. And it's a really tight battle between him and Fraser Forster. But I think McCarthy just has the shirt right now, and deservedly so after that display, because I think he probably as well is getting more confident on having a settled back line in front of him and a defence that's playing really well. And the entire team unit in front of him seems to be solid. And that's where Saints have to improve this season if they're going to move up the table. They have to get better defensively. And it's going to be interesting because I think there's been reports about maybe a new goalkeeper coming in, and sometimes that maybe boost the confidence or boost the urgency level, shall we say, of the current goalkeepers and brings out the best in them.
About that defensive unit, as Kenzie said at the top of the show, Dean, Jack Stevens is going to be out for around about 12 weeks. How big a blow is that to the side, considering he's had such a good start to the season?
Yeah, it is a blow, Steve, because I think you're right to say, I think he's found some really good form, some exceptional form, really. And I'm disappointed for Jack. And I think he's a very good player, Jack. You know, his reading of the game is very, very good. Makes more interceptions than necessarily tackles, as you see in there. His distribution is really good. with question marks over his concentration at times, maybe, or being consistent in his performances. But I think he's been brilliant. And one thing he's added to his game, he's become even more aggressive, like really aggressive. I think you see from the Man United goal for Shea when he wins the ball off a Man United player, it's a brilliant tackle. It really, really is. And I saw evidence of that when I came to the game against West Ham when we did it live and could actually watch him play live. He's more demanding now. His communication skills are even better. He's demanding of players around him. He's talking to others. And I think that will help with his concentration and help with his development of becoming an even better player. So I feel for him because it's never nice to get injured, especially when you're playing well and the team's playing well. And he's played such a major part in that. I think his performances against Man United was excellent. Continue that against West Ham. And I hope he's not out for too long and he can find that form again because he's a very, very reliable player for Southampton.
Yeah, well, we wish him a speedy recovery, of course. We're stepping away from the league for just a moment. Of course, Saints progressed in the EFL Cup on Tuesday night. Ibrahima Diallo and Mohamed Salisu both scoring their first goals for Southampton. Joe, just how good is it to see goals coming from all areas of the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, goals have been in short supply this season, right? So it's nice to see a couple of goals in all different areas. I don't think many people have had Diallo and Salisu down to score midweek, but took their chances really well. And I think Diallo, seeing his post-match interview, almost surprised himself. I think that he said that was his first goal ever he scored in his career. So, yeah, hopefully the first of many, because he has got that he can shimmy, get away from players. And if he can play a bit further forward, I think there will be spaces there for him and Romeo and Ward-Prowse to get into with the movement of Shea and Adam Armstrong ahead of him. So, yeah, it was great to see a few different players chipping in. I think it does wonders for the confidence of the squad to a lot of players, Nathan Teller and others having minutes as well, even though they're not starting in the Premier League. So I think it's great for Saints to go as far as they possibly can in this competition. Obviously, the draw could have been a bit kinder. Chelsea away in the next round, but all things considered, I think Chelsea may rest a few players in that game. They have a lot of Champions League games coming up around then. So it may actually suit Saints. And we've all seen in the past how a good cup run has energized the team and kept it going. And I think this season, the squad is a lot deeper compared to last season and the run to the FA Cup semi-final to cope with that grind of having cup games and league games to combat. So, yeah, great to see those two on the score sheet. Hopefully it's first of many for both of them. And I've got a feeling that we're going to see some other unlikely goal scorers as well. I really like what Tino Livramento has been doing. And I think it's only a matter of time before he gets a couple of goals as well.
Yeah, I do agree with that, Joe. Dean, let's switch the focus to today's opponents, Wolves. We played them 3 times last season. We drew 1, we won 1, and we lost 1. What do you remember from those games?
Very competitive game, Steve. A good test each time. I think the first game, that's I think Theo Walcott's first goal returning back to the club. So a pretty even game, that one. And then the FA Cup game was a dominant performance. It really, really was, where we won 2-0. Really good game of football. We got a VAR decision that went for us, with Danny Ings. It was a bit of a lucky goal as well, which was great. I think Nathan Teller had just come onto the scene then and was starting to make an impact. And then the home game where you remember Danny Ings' wonder strike. I mean, it's a fantastic goal. It comes from a brilliant run from Stuart Armstrong as well. And then, Danny Ings, what an instinctive finish that is. I mean, one of the goals of the season. And then a VAR decision where, Ryan Bircham, is it a penalty? Is it not a penalty? Definitely hits his hand. But 50-50 decision, a decision within the game that when we don't get the handball when we possibly could have done. And then Wolves get a winner where kind of started slow second half. It was during that phase of the season where we was having particularly good first half performances and then a little bit indifferent second half, starting the second half a little bit slow and then not being able to finish games strongly. So good test last year, and I think that will continue this year. Wolves are not in the best position, but they've been very competitive. Only lost a few games by the odd goal. They've not scored many, but they've created a lot of chances and had a lot of shots on goal. So they're a decent team. So again, I think this will be a test for Southampton today.
Yeah, most definitely a good side, aren't they? Well, Joe, before we come to you to get your thoughts on today's opponents, let's head back to social media, see what the fans are saying online before kickoff. Rosemary says she's hoping for a 2-0 win today. Armstrong and Redders with the goals. We've got Britcoin on YouTube. He says Shay Adams to score. Philip's joining us all the way from Louisiana. Hello to you. He's also going for a 2-0 win to the Saints today. Steve is with us from Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks for your company. And Patrick's left us a comment saying, win it in midfield today. So great to see that positivity from the fans, Joe. Now, Wolves have had the third highest number of shots in the Premier League this season, but they actually only have 2 goals to show for it. What have you made of them so far?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually the joint fewest amount of goals in the league. So it's been a really strange start to the season for them. They're very dangerous during games, but they just lack that cutting edge. And if you actually look historically, the last few seasons, they haven't scored a lot of goals. You know, as good as Raul Jimenez and Adama Traore are, they both look to be lacking in confidence. A bit surprised to see Traore on the bench today, but it kind of shows that it isn't quite working, that partnership. But yeah, I think I watched the game against Brentford last week, and what I noticed about them is they aren't as solid defensively as they were under Nuno Espirito Santo. I think they're very similar generally under the new manager, Bruno Lage, but under Nuno, it seems to me they were very solid foundation, but Brentford pressed them high. They caused a lot of problems, a lot of turnovers from the defenders back there for Wolves. So luckily, Saints like to press high too. So I think they can really get at them there and create a lot of chances. And Wolves as well, they didn't finish last season very well. So I think there's a bit of a hangover from last season to this season. It's difficult once you're in that bit of a rut to get the confidence from somewhere, change the manager, but they really haven't changed a lot of the players. So the main game plan for Wolves is get the ball wide early and often, whip it in as much as you can, and try and get Jimenez on the end of it. And obviously with his horrendous injury, he's just coming back to full fitness and form. So he's a little bit rusty. It's going to take him a while to get going. But I think, honestly, if Saints can press them high and force them to go long, they're going to get a lot of joy today. And one thing for Saints, the wide players have to help out the fullbacks, because Walker-Peters and Livramento are going to have a lot of defending to do today. But if Valyanusi and Redmond can dig in and help them out defensively, then I think that will really nullify the attacking threat of Wolves. But yeah, they'll create chances, but they'll give Saints a lot of chances too.
Well, we've got just over 45 minutes to go until kickoff, so we'll start to wrap things up, gentlemen. Dean, let's come to you first. What are your final thoughts ahead of today's game? And let's get a score prediction too.
I think it's going to be a tight game, Steve. I think it will in terms of the score line. I think it will be quite expansive. Like Joe just mentioned there, Wolves are an attacking team. They have a lot of attacking players on the pitch, and they do create opportunities and are pretty brave in terms of taking a strike at goal, even though they've not scored many goals this season. But I think Southampton will get opportunities because they will press them. And the frailties for Wolves are defensively, where they will give you chances. So I think it's going to be a very competitive game, but I think it will be close. And I'm going to go for a 1-0 Southampton win today.
OK, well, Dean's saying 1-0. Joe, no copying. What are you going with?
I was going to go with 1-1, but I'm going to follow Dean's positivity. I'm going to go 2-1 Saints. I think this is the start of a very good run of home games. Wolves, Leeds, Burnley and Villa, that they really have to get a few wins from. So I think I'm going with positive vibes after all these draws and good performances. Now is the time to turn it into victory and get a few goals. And I really fancy Saints today to come out on top. It will be close, though. It will be close.
Oh, well, we love those positive vibes here on Saints Live. Dean, Joe, thanks for your company as always. Now, after holding the champions to a 0-0 draw last weekend at the Etihad, Southampton will, of course, be hoping to build on that positive result with a win here today against Wolves. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. And as always, we will be back with you after the match for the final whistle. Don't want to miss it. Make sure you join us. Bye for now.